Good morning, y'all. Welcome to another video on the Luderco Arms channel. So, we got the Dodge in the shop here. And, so this truck's got over 100,000 miles on it. It's just a little bit over 100,000. But, I'm pretty sure the transmission's never been serviced in this thing. So we're going to go ahead and service it. So I got the filter. Now, you'll have to check on your Dodge. This one takes this ATP filter, so it's B216, says right there. And I also got a new Felpro gasket for the transmission oil pan, which is a TOS 18743. So the reason that I buy a separate oil pan gasket is, you see how this is on this flat piece right here, and it's nice and flat. So if you buy this ATP filter, the filter is fine. It comes in the box like that. But then the gasket that it comes with is wadded up in that box, and you can see that's going to be a pain in the ass to use because it's all wrinkled up. So I got that Felpro gasket instead. But so we got a new filter and a new gasket, and once we get those done, then we're also going to install a new tail shaft seal, because this tail shaft has been leaking where the slip yoke is in the back of the transmission, where the drive shaft comes out. So that's a TO-073, and hopefully that's the right seal. I'm pretty sure it is, but we'll check it before we pull the old one out. Anyways, so now we got to get our drain pan and get under here. The bolts are you need a 10mm socket. To pull this, y'all just give me a second to get around here. Alright, so we got that. Let me get down here on the creeper. Alright, so right here is our transmission pan, and you can see there's no drain plug in it, so it's the make a mess style. And basically what we're going to do is go around and pull most of these bolts out, and of course this thing's going to drip oil everywhere except in this pan, but we'll do what we can. So what I generally will do on these is start pulling the bolts out, and then like this one right here, ow, loosen a little bit, but I'll leave it in there. All right. Of course, it went all over the floor and everywhere. That's what usually happens anyways. And all over the exhaust, but that's, you know, that's pretty typical. All right, I'm going to let that finish draining out, and I will bring you back when we pull the pan off and do the filter. All right, so this thing has quit dripping. So now comes the part usually where we make a big mess, which is going to be pulling this pan off of here. You got to remember, when you go to take this last bolt off, that pan is still full of oil, and you want to try to get it in the drain pan and not all over you. So pull that last bolt out and kind of try to dump all that in the bucket, and we'll set that off to the side there. And now we've got our filter right there. And everything else, and all this is going to keep on dripping while you're working on it, but we'll wipe this down a little bit, and then we've got to pull that filter off and change it out. So let me grab the tool for that, and we'll be right back. Right, so I think I've got the right size here. Yep, so those are Torx screws, and they're a T25, and if you look, you can see there's one right there and then one back here. So we're gonna pull this one and that one off, and oh man. Oh. Well, let me get a ratchet. I'll be right back. Alright, so now we've got the ratchet. These things have got a little bit of torque on them. I don't know. They shouldn't have been all that tight, but anyways, you want to unscrew these and be careful not to drop them down into the transmission pan, or the drain pan I should say. They are the same size, so you don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. We got our new filter here, ready to go on. As soon as I get it out of the wrapper. We got that. And this should just come on out of its hole there. Oh, there it goes. Alright. We'll throw that over in the pan for now. And we want to make sure we get the old O-ring out of the hole. Do not want to leave that up in there. Alright. So now that that's out, I can wipe all this off real quick. And take our new filter with its O-ring already on it and put it right back up there, and we'll start our screws back in. There, and careful not to cross thread them. There we go. And we'll run those back up in there real quick. And these don't need a tremendous amount of torque. Just tighten them down. Alright. So, now that's done, what I'm going to do, check around here, make sure all of my gasket surfaces are clean. Alright. And now we gotta go and clean the drain pan out. So we'll slide out from under here. Grab our wrench and our drain pan. Okay, so here's our drain pan with the filter still sitting in it, and we'll clean it and the magnet, which always has a bunch of gunk on it, and get this old gasket off of it. So let me get all that done and I'll bring you back when we go put this thing back in. Alright, so I got the pan all cleaned up, magnet all nice and clean, everything clean, got our gasket here. So what I do, everybody is a little different. Some people will put the gasket on and not use anything with it. My personal choice for transmission pans is I am going to glue the gasket to the pan with a little RTV. So that's how I do it. So I'm going to get that done. I'm not going to bore you with watching me smear RTV around this thing, but I just use a very, very thin, like a skim coat for it. So I will bring you back in just a minute when we go to put this transmission pan back on and get the bolts all run up. Alright, we're ready to put the transmission pan back on. So I've got the pan under here, but what you got to do is, no matter what you do, you're going to have oil still dripping out of the bottom of this thing. You could wait 3 days, I think, and there would still be oil dripping. So what you want to do is, real quick like, wipe all that oil down, especially on your gasket surface. Wipe all around here. Get everything oil free for a minute. And then you can pick your pan up and make sure you get the orientation of it correct, like so, and then you can get a bolt started there, and then reach over on the other side and get a bolt started over there, being careful not to knock your gasket off while you're doing it. And I'm going to run that up as far as I can with my fingers, and that will hold the pan in place. And then you can get a couple more started to make sure. The biggest thing is to make sure you don't knock your gasket out of place and you don't cross thread any of these little bolts. Either one of those situations will cause you to have a bad time. And on some of these, because the exhaust pipe's in the way, you might use your socket and your extension as a little screwdriver to kind of help you run those up in there. Alright, once you get them all in there, then you can run them up. Now this little 1/4-inch drive impact doesn't have enough ass to strip these, but just be careful because it doesn't take a whole lot of torque on these things. and you kind of want to go back and forth, side to side, get everything drawn up even. All right, there we go. So now that we got the pan back on, our next step will be, or would be, to put the oil back in it if that's all we were doing. But since we're already here and I've already got the part, we're going to go ahead and replace the tail shaft seal, because come back here, you'll see that this whole, let me get the light back here, you'll see this whole cross member here and transmission mount bracket are all covered in oil, and it's coming from right there, from that seal right there. So I've got a new one, and we're going to go ahead and throw that in there. So let me get all this stuff out from under here that we used for changing the oil, and get some tools to take that flange loose back there, and I'll bring you back and we'll swap out this seal real quick. All right, in order to swap this tail shaft seal out, we got to pull the drive shaft. So back here on the rear end, there's a 4-bolt flange. You'll need a 15mm wrench to pull the 4 bolts out. Now, before you pull these out, you want to make sure you got your parking brake on, and just in case, throw you a couple of chock blocks behind the wheels, because if you've got it up on ramps like I do right now, in order to get up in here, when you pull this drive shaft off, if you've just got it in park, once you take this drive shaft loose, you have lost your what's holding it in place. It'll roll. So make sure you have the parking brake on and got you a couple of chocks behind the wheels. Anyways, you want to run these bolts out. So there's 2. You grab the other 2 out, and I'll bring you back when we go to pull this drive shaft out. So once you got the back end of the drive shaft loose, then we're going to pull the drive shaft out of the back of the transmission. And that's a slip yoke, so this should just slide out of here. You want to put your drain pan under it, just in case any oil comes out with it. But yeah, see, there we go. All right. And you want to put a rag under or around this slip yoke, because you don't want to drag it on the concrete. All right, so we got that shaft out of there. Now we want to get our new seal, and we're going to kind of hold it up in here and make sure it's the right one. So let me go grab that, and I'll be right back. Yeah, you can see right there, the shaft fits right on that in there, and that shiny part is your slip yoke. And that's what that seal is supposed to be sealing to, but it's not really. So, all right, let me go grab that part and I'll be right back. All right, so we got to get this seal out of here. And it's kind of a pain in the butt because you got this rubber sleeve sticking out around it. But what I'm going to do is try to cut that out of the way. Just to make it easier for me to get the seal out of there. So I've already checked, and the seal I have looks like it's the correct one. Let's see if the seal hook will get up in here or not. I might have to go this way. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's got her. Oh. There we go. All right. So if you've, there's our old seal popped out of there. Get rid of that. So if you've never seen one of these tools, this is a seal remover. I think I got this one off the Snap-on truck like 30 years ago, but you can also buy them at the auto parts store. So now that we got the old seal out, we can take a rag and wipe all this hole out here, and then we can put our new seal back in. So I like to take a little RTV and put around this. So let me grab that real quick and I'll be right back. Alright, so I got my seal. I got a little RTV around the edges of it. That just helps to seal where it goes in there. So we'll get it kind of up in its spot there. And you got to have something to drive it in with. I looked around and I found that a 2 1/8 inch 12.3/4 drive socket is about the perfect size that I've got in my stuff. Get where I can get a swing on this thing. Just like that. Make sure it's all the way in. It is. There we go. So now, all we got to do is put our drive shaft back in. Clean all this mess up. And hopefully this will all dry up as dirt sticks to it, and there will be no more messy leak. Alright, so now we can, let me everything here, make sure this is still in frame. Yep. Get my drive shaft back in here. Clean off the end. And we just got to get this up here and line it up on the splines. Like so. And shove her home. There we go. Now we got to get the back bolted back up. So, because the transmission's in park, you can't turn the drive shaft, and because we have the parking brake on and both wheels on the ground, you can't turn the input of the rear end. So what can you do? Well, you can jack up one of the rear wheels and take the parking brake off, but since we're up on ramps, that's not a really good idea. So what we're going to do instead is hop up in the truck and put it in neutral, and that way we can spin the drive shaft and get those bolts to line back up. So let me go stick this thing in neutral and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we are in neutral, and we can we should be able to spin the drive shaft and get our holes lined back up here. Alright, those are all run down. I'm going to go put it back in park and then torque those, and then we are done underneath. We can go under the hood. So I will bring you back once I get these torqued and get back up under the hood and start adding oil. All right, got everything cleaned up, drive shafts all back in, everything out from underneath the truck other than this light. So now we got to fill her back up with oil. So the book says for a transmission and filter drain and refill, it's 4 quarts. So I did what I usually do, and I measured the oil out of the oil pan out into a jug, because I keep it in jugs for disposal. And we ended up having about 4 quarts and a half, but I'm pretty sure it was over full to start with. So we're going to throw 4 quarts in here. Got the transmission funnel stuck in the dipstick tube. I'm going to throw 4 quarts in there, and once I get that in there, then I'm going to crank this thing up, back it up, get it off of the ramps, because you can't get a good read on the fluid level if the vehicle's not level. So we'll dump these 4 quarts, and this is Mopar ATF Plus 4 automatic transmission fluid. Got it off Amazon. Not sponsored. I bought it for my truck because I'm changing my transmission oil. But believe it or not, the day I went to get ATF Plus 4 for this thing, the cheapest I could get on Amazon was 2 6-packs. So 12 bottles of this Mopar ATF. So hey, I'll take it. So I'm going to dump them 4 bottles in there, get the chocks out from behind the wheels, get this thing down off of the ramp, warm it up, and then I'll bring you back for the final so we can check the oil. All right, so I have got the truck kind of warmed up, ran it through all the gears, got it sitting here idling in neutral, and we're going to check the fluid. All right, so as you can see, we're not really hot yet. We're still in the cold zone, which is where we should be. So we are good to go. Once I drive this thing up the road a little bit and get the transmission hot, I'll recheck it, but we should be in the zone. So no need to add any more. And that is that. So hopefully this video has helped y'all out or showed you how to do it. It's not much to it. It's pretty easy on this truck. It's gonna stink a little bit because burning all that oil off of the exhaust cross member. Seems like engineers always put exhaust where oil's going to drip on it when you change the oil in something. Anyways, I'll drive this thing to work tomorrow and check underneath it, make sure there's no leaks or anything, but we should be good to go. So, appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Y'all have a good one.